Everyone. Sorry to stop the conversation, but it's been a heck of an internet today. And it looks like our presenter is in. Are you good, Chris?
Yeah, I'm good to go.
All right. So just a quick introduction. Let's see if this works. Can everybody see the screen?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. So welcome to Tribe Talks. And Tribe Talks is a get-together of people who have like minds, more in common than we have differences. Tribe Talk is a dialogue with rider coaches to enhance communications and help develop the improvement culture within our tribe, sharing our experiences and ideas for the betterment. This is an independent event, not sponsored by any organization, regardless of who may attend. So I'd like to welcome you all in here tonight. It's important to me that people like you show up. So as we wait for the next slide. And I apologize, this a little Tribe Talk etiquette.
No.
If you would please, if you're not speaking with the group, mute your microphone. And if you would like to inject into the conversation, and we do appreciate that, please raise the blue hand that you can find underneath typically the list of everybody who is in the conversation. So it's okay to lurk in the background, but we do really think it's better if you have the ability to join in and move the conversation along. If there are technical difficulties, please go ahead and jump out and jump back in. There seems to be a lot of people on the internet, a lot of people using Zoom, and I know that my internet has been up and down today. Not quite fun as I would like. Tonight, we're going to have Mr. Christopher Rector from Illinois talking on the topic of less is more, coaching with fewer words. We're going to extend this out a little bit today, just going to be one topic, and then we'll do our typical poll towards the end. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing it and turn it over to Chris.
Go ahead and get this going. Okay, our topic tonight is less is more, coaching with fewer words. A little bit about myself. I am a 10-year rider coach. I'm currently one of the state coordinators for the Illinois program, so I do not actually teach in Illinois due to conflict of interest rules with my job. So I have to go out of state to teach. So I actually teach in Indiana and Missouri. So what's our methodology for teaching courses? Anybody? This is a little interactive, so if you have something, you think about, go ahead and open up your mic and just tell me. What's our methodology?
Learner-centered, holds a pot.
Exactly. It's a adult learner-centered, accelerated class. It's high challenge and low threat. That's right out of our Rider Coach Guides on page 30. What's a student's motivation for attending our classes? 9 times out of 10.
License.
What's their motivation?
Get their license.
Get their license.
What's the second motivation for them?
They want to be safe.
And what's the third motivation that they might have?
You want to be able to ride a motorcycle the correct way.
Well, that kind of goes along with
A
safety.
rabbit taking the class helps them.
Their
All right.
spouse won't let them get a bike unless they take the class.
Yeah, but what about money?
Discount on
Insurance.
insurance.
Yeah, insurance.
Yeah. Well, they've got money on the line to take this class because they paid for it in most states. Illinois is one of the states that doesn't have a fee to take the class. So they want to be successful because they've got however much money they've put on the class. So that's our 3 motivations of the student. But like I said, 9 times out of 10, what does that student say they're there for? I want to get my license. Safety is a second thought. Key point is our students are here voluntarily. They're not obligated to in any way to attend our classes or learn anything from the class. We have to make it work for them and make their decisions effective. How we facilitate our courses can make the difference in their success of the course. All right, how do we present our range exercises under ideal circumstances? We're going to read the cards verbatim. We're talking to our students. We're executing demos. We're presenting those eval points and talking to students more. We show a static demo if it's required. We're talking more. We're executing that static practice, keeping it brief. We're talking more. We run the exercise and coach the students, keeping it brief, timely tips, talking more. And then we reflect and debrief. And once again, we're talking more. What is the problem with this? Yeah.
Doesn't let them talk. Doesn't let them let the information sink in.
We talk too much. All right, so I'm going to read an exercise real quick, read the instructions off an exercise. This is exercise 4, shifting and stopping. The objective of the exercise is to be able to shift gears and stop smoothly. The range is set up with 2 clutch control lanes down the middle path of the range, a shift stop lane on the long sides of the range, a perimeter turn after the stop. On signal, you will ride down the middle path to practice the low speed clutch lever and throttle control in the 2 clutch control lanes. As directed, stop at the beginning of a shift stop lane on signal and one at a time, ride down the lane, shift to second gear and release the clutch lever. As you approach the stop point, squeeze in the clutch lever and downshift to first gear. Keep the clutch lever squeezed with the stop with the front tire between the stop cones. Remain stopped for coaching. On signal, slowly make the perimeter turn and proceed to the middle path to practice the clutch control lanes. After the clutch control lanes, right turn or left to get into the shorter line. Be sure to use both sides. And on signal, you'll ride to the stage area. All right. Did anybody notice what happened as I was reading the instructions to the audience?
They kind of shut down or tuned out. And that I did
Exactly.
I did time it. It was about a minute for you to read all that.
But Carol nailed it exactly. That's under ideal verbatim read, and the students 1 minute tuned out. Now, if we add all those other pieces in as we're doing the demo and all that, they are just completely checked out of the process. Now, we're going to go into reality. I mean, because we know it never works this way ideally. All right, so in reality, what happens, we read the cards, we talk to the students. We might rehash the cards in a simplified manner so that the students might be able to understand it a little bit better or kind of dumb it down, so to speak. And you might have to do this multiple times. Then you're going to execute the demo, talking to the students again, presenting those eval points. And sometimes you get into way too much information instead of just highlighting the eval points. Then sometimes the demo writer will come over and rehash the whole thing that you just went through. All right, how many times has that happened to anybody? Then you're going to go through your static demo, and it becomes a full another set of instructions instead of that brief 3 or 4 line thing that you have to tell them what to do. Remember, we're just trying to get those cognitive pieces to go together in their brain so that they know this is what I'm going to do in a couple of minutes. Then we're going to execute that static practice. Once again, full set of instructions, not really part of the actual practice, because they're going to get that stuff when they actually get into it. So that brings us to our students. that Carol just brought up a minute ago, they have completely checked out. They haven't even ridden yet. All right, so you ask your first student, you ready to go? He says yes, and they have absolutely no idea what they're going to do. Is that correct? Yep, I see Ron here is giving the thumbs up. All right, they get blank stares, loss of interest. They've completely checked out of the process, forgot what you asked them to do, and they're out there basically trying to herd cats now. All right, so you execute the exercise. They're all confused, have no idea what they're doing, and it takes a lot more coaching to get them to get that exercise effectively. You're gonna have to talk to them, and the coaching becomes a lecture, and you have that one student that you've got to talk to for 5 minutes. You get into the reflect and the debrief, and you start off with the thought-provoking questions, and then it becomes story time. Hey, this exercise saved my life when I was out there, instead of letting the students do it. So it becomes about us, not about them. All right, we have some demos here, or we do this exercise at our Rider Coach updates, and we use a set of directed images. All right, we do this 3 times, and we have a set of specifically worded instructions for the students or the rider coaches to replicate the directed images. They would be given instructions to replicate the images to the best of their ability with the wording that the rider coach person or the coach for the demonstration gives them. And the coach is only allowed to say what's on the sheet. They can't add any words, they can't change anything, they can't emphasize anything. We do this exercise and we allow them 90 seconds to get as many images correct as possible. All right, on average, with the directed images, the rider coach that's leading the exercise would get between 12 and 15 images completed, with about 12 images out of 15 accurate, just by reading the directions. Then we do the whole exercise again with the same images. The only thing that's different is the images have been randomized, so they are not in the same order. Now the coach is not given any instruction other than you can say anything you want to replicate the images. So they go through the same thing, 90 seconds, and when they're using undirected images, the rider coach is able to get about 12 images complete with about 8 to 10 accurately done. So you can see by having that undirected conversation, you lose quality out of it. And then we do the same exercise a 3rd time using visual only. The coaches are given the instructions that they can do anything they want to replicate the images that they show the picture. They can replicate it in person, but they can't say a word. On average, when we did this at Harper at one of our rider coach updates, in 90 seconds, they completed all 30 images with 10 to 15 seconds to spare, and 28 were accurate. So it just goes to show, the more we talk, the less effective we are. We get so involved in talking that it just becomes a bunch of word vomit after a while. All right, so to kind of replicate this, it's kind of hard to do this on Zoom, but we're going to try to replicate the same exercise here on Zoom tonight. So we're going to try a few directed images. Let me get my notes here. And we're going to do 5 directed images, and we're going to see if you guys can do it. So if you want to do these, we'd like you to step back, or I'd like you to step back from your camera about 4 or 5 feet so we can see your torso there. You don't even have to get out of your chair. And I'm going to change my view here so I can see more people. All right. That way I can kind of see what's going on. And we will do this first set of images. So if you step back about to this point where you can see this much of your body. That way we can see if you can do this. And if you want to participate, you can. If you don't want to participate, that's fine as well. All right, so let's begin with our first image. All right, the directions are as follows. Left arm extended above head, right arm wide. This was 8 words. And I can see several people have the image on the screen, so let's go ahead and this is what we should look like. How many got that right? Just with 8 words. All right, let's do image number 2. Both arms extended above head. 5 words. And did everybody get this one? Looks like everybody got that one pretty good. All right, image number 3. Elbows next to body and bent, arms extended. 8 words. All right. And this is the image it should look like. And looks like everybody got the images pretty accurately. This is a little bit harder to do because we would normally do this in a 90-second interval as quickly as possible to get them accurate. Image number 4, right hand to waist, left arm extended above head. This was 9 words. All right, and this is what it should look like. And looks like everybody got that one pretty well. This one, next one's going to be a little bit harder. All right, you're going to assume a boxing stance with your right arm above your left. That was 6 words. That's what you should look like. All right, so these were pretty easy ones to do. Now we're going to do the same thing again, and we are going to let Sarah, my assistant tonight, she's going to give you a set of undirected images, so she can say anything she wants to get you to replicate the images. She has a set of images to work from, and she will give you the directions. All right, she can say anything she wants to get it, but she's not going to show you. I will actually do the reveal. All right, so Sarah, let's go ahead and do image 1.
All right, let's do this. All right, so left hand on your leg, and right arm extended straight out, pointing one finger to your side. Point your right arm to your side and point.
All right. Looks like there's several people that have it. This is what you should look like. Did you notice how muddy it got, though?
Yep.
All right. Let's go ahead and do undirected number 2.
All right. Put your hands on your hips and then lift them up off your hips. Just slightly off your hips. So put your hands on your hips and then lift them about a couple inches off of them, but keep that same position.
Okay. Looks like several people have it. This is what you should look like. All right. Once again, undirected images, it gets muddy very, very quickly. A lot more words to get the same result. All right. Let's go with number 3.
Put your right hand straight up and put your left arm kind of doing like a disco, pointed like an angle downward. Straight arm, left arm, angled downward. Like disco, like Elvis.
Okay, looks like several people have the position. This is what you should look like. All right.
It just said Saturday
And
fever.
let's go to the next one.
All right. Put your right arm down at your side. Put your left arm angled downward, pointing with one finger.
All right, looks like several people have it. And this is what you should look like. And undirected number 5.
Put your right arm on your lower back and your left arm, angle it out at your elbow and point downward. But keep your arm closer to your body. So there should only be like a couple inches from your body.
Okay, several people look like they have the position or close to it. Should look like this.
That was hard.
All right. So do you see the difference so far with what we're doing? The more we talk, the less effective we become. All right, now we're going to kind of do the visual only images. So we can either do it. I could do the position for you. I could have somebody do it and move them like that, as we've had different people. We had somebody take the page and go, oh, do this. All right, that's kind of what we're going to do here since we're on Zoom. It's kind of hard to make it work. So if I were to show you an image like this, how fast could you get that? What's the accuracy that we're going to get now?
Pretty high.
All right. Think about when we're talking to our students on the range. Do we have to talk to them to get an effective result? We can use a range signal and get a much better result because they already know what they're doing at this point. So if we go to visual only number 2, easy, quick, everybody got it just like that. And if you give that range signal to that student coming down the lane, instead of stopping them and talking to them for 30 seconds, they're going to get more ride time. They're going to get much more out of it. They're going to get the gist of what you want to say without actually talking to them and maybe under-coaching them or over-coaching them too much, because we've had those coaches that get out there and it becomes a whole dissertation when they're talking to the student. Their line is, 10 people deep and the students are sitting there for 5 minutes between passes. Is that effective for the students? All right, let's go to visual only number 3. We did something like that. Everybody gets it quickly. Once again, you just use those images or those range signals and we can be much more effective on the range to get the students to do what we want them to do to be successful. All right, let's look at directed number or visual only number 4. So easy. A lot of people got it right away. And visual only number 5. All right. What it comes down to is the final slide here is our biggest communication problem is we do not listen to understand, we listen to reply. All right, Stephen R. Covey wrote that, and that was from How to Win Friends and Influence People. So he's took that from another author. I can't think of who it was, but it was a very similar quote. So does this make any sense to anybody on how effective we can be?
Totally.
This was presented at SMSA by another instructor from Ohio, and she allowed me to use this. And doing these exercises in person, you get she actually did 3 or 4 different exercises. She did this one. She did a communication exercise where you had 2 rider coaches face to face, and they were holding chopsticks finger to finger, and then they were trying to describe what they wanted the other student to do. And then they said, okay, now do it without talking and see if you can do advanced maneuvers like walking around the room or anything without dropping the chopstick. We also did an exercise that was very effective for how we coach using positive or negative coaching influence only. So they hit an object in the room, had a couple of students go out of the room, and the object for the students was to come in and find that object that was hidden in the room, but the coaches in the audience were only allowed to give them positive or negative feedback. They couldn't tell them where it was. And we can discourage our students very, very easily by not keeping that positive support going for them. So they were very, very effective exercises, and it was really, really profound to see how much different the visual, directed, undirected, and then visual only changed. I mean, the ability to get those done correctly. So it just really does have a good valid point to what we're doing. And oops, I do have one more slide I want to share with you guys. So let's start this back up again. Okay, and this is an idea that I just saw a couple of days ago. If anybody's interested, you can make a range hand washing station for about $25 to $30. I found this and I just thought this might be something that somebody might find interesting or useful. Uses a 5-gallon jug that could be bought on Amazon for about $25 to $30. You can use a 5-gallon water bottle. You can buy the spigot. And, you know, if there's hand sanitizer issues, trying to find hand sanitizer for COVID ranges that are running, this is maybe an alternative that you could use. So, any questions?
I have a question there, Chris. Can we
Sure.
steal that too?
The
The whole, your presentation, your images.
Yeah, absolutely. I can send you the directed and undirected and all the instructions all worked out and everything.
Very cool. Very cool.
I'd like that as well for our update. We did a silent range once. That was a lot of fun as well. Where you can't talk and you got to do silent range with rider coaches. It was kind of interesting.
Okay. If you put your email address in the chat screen, I'll copy it and then send it out to you in the morning.
Sounds good. Josh, the other thing we do is in New York, we are in Rochester, which is where the National Technical Institute for the Deaf is. So we oftentimes have deaf students. So my mantra is to all of my coaches, whenever they're coaching, teach as if they're deaf. So that tries to help cut down on all that talking.
Something interesting about that as well, Ron, we actually do 2 deaf classes, 1 at least, but sometimes 2, depending on how many students we have. In the state of Massachusetts, like MREP will actually have a deaf class. We have sign language interpreters and everything. I think, Colin, did you teach one of those?
No, Corey does one. I think he used to do it with Stan, and I think John McDaniel did one.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Really neat. I think it was Corey that led the charge on that because of his other educational qualifications. Sure. Pretty neat, though.
Okay, I've got, looks like about 10 email addresses, and I'll copy those out of the chat, and I will send that out to you guys in the morning. I'll send you the directed instructions, the directed images, all the randomized images, and even a copy of the notes if you want it.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you, Sarah.
So
This is much more effective in person, but this was the best we could do with Zoom.
a question to the masses here. would it be helpful, and I can't believe I haven't thought of this before because we've done it for IRETs previously. Would it be helpful to post these on the website so they're available from download from there?
Gee, what a great idea, Don.
Yeah, why don't
That's
you guys
awesome. Absolutely.
like clue me into this stuff? And I think I could
On the
probably
website.
go back and at least get some of the previous slide decks with permission of the authors to post them up there. And if everybody thinks that's a great idea, that's something I can do this week. When you're considering what Christopher has been talking about here, why is talking less effective?
Each person has their idea of the meaning of certain words, and they don't always identically overlap. So we sometimes say a particular word that doesn't really communicate well for others.
Hi, this is Belinda from Tuscaloosa. So I love this, by the way. Thank you so much, Chris. I have a son that's nonverbal. It's on the autism spectrum. And I literally was just having this conversation where you don't need words to ride a motorcycle. So he got a mini bike for Christmas, and it's about modeling. And so I love this and I appreciate this. And I think that's what it is, because he uses a communication device, but we've learned to use less words in our home. And it's a lot more of body language, like please sit down, and actually sit down with him and stuff. And so I appreciate you doing this, because this is our life anyways. And so I've seen that move over into my coaching, where I'm just like, we don't need that many words, just do it and use more body language. So I appreciate this. Thank you.
I think a
You
lot
got
of
to remember that. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, a lot of times when people use words, they create a mental image in their head. So by presenting it as an image, it kind of cuts to the chase and gets rid of the middleman.
Mm-hmm. We also have to remember that there are different learning types. Some people learn better by seeing. Some people learn better by doing. Some people learn better by hearing. And we have to fit that into everybody's learning type when we're out on the range.
Don't forget those that learn by reading.
Mm-hmm.
When we're talking about a motor skill, the way that people acquire motor skills is to do the motor skill, not necessarily to talk about the motor skill.
Right.
Yeah, I was going to say that's right in the principles, actually. Sometimes, too much verbal instruction before actually doing the motor skill can actually hinder motor skill development.
You've overwhelmed them.
I'm curious to hear what people's solutions, what you would suggest for solutions beyond doing more than just a verbatim card read and going right to the demo. What people's solutions would be to kind of get students to mentally emphasize watching the demo, and to get coaches to mentally emphasize the importance of watching the demo versus the card read and all the talking.
During the demo, I find it extremely beneficial to get the students, well, first tell them what the observation points are, and then get them to verbalize when they've seen it.
And it gets them to build that cognitive association with what that skill is and what they're going to be doing that the skills practice and skills demos work on.
One of the things I've learned from years past, I taught a hearing impaired class that had about 6 students, I think it was, that were hearing impaired on a full-size range. And we had 2, I think it was, translators, I think they're called, that did all the signing for us when we talked, and those translators were right behind us. So naturally that tells you that the old saying is read the cards. And if that hearing impaired student had a question, they could certainly ask, and that translator would translate it for us. And that worked out pretty good. And if I remember correctly back then, that those particular students, for the most part, did pass the class. So the communication there was vitally important, even with hearing impaired students versus regular hearing students that were the coach who just read the cards.
It's interesting that you bring that up because I have also been in that circumstance as a coach with an ASL interpreter and deaf students, and it made me acutely aware of the words that I was using and how many of them I was using.
One of the things that I've had two ASL students multiple times on our ranges, and one of the things that I found difficult that the interpreter brought to my attention is a lot of the words that we use don't exist in ASL. So the word throttle, there isn't a sign for throttle.
So there's been a couple pretty cool comments on the group chat talking about imaginary handlebars turning with the yellow and also for those of you
Don, your voice is breaking up again.
Yeah, it's like you're in a tunnel.
I'll share the comments. Someone said, has anyone had students try to mimic the exercise holding imaginary handlebars and turning with the demo rider? Jeff Wade commented, that's the counterweight simulated practice, for example. Betsy shared when she went through prep, they did an entire exercise in silence, coaching only with signals. One of the neatest exercises she's ever seen. And Chris Perry shared that he's a sign language interpreter teaching deaf and hard of hearing riders. And Chris asked if this might be something the group is interested in learning more about. Chris, it sounds like you just volunteered to do a Tribe Talks in the future.
Well, Don and I had already talked about me doing one, but that wasn't one of the topics, and I didn't want to present it unless people found it might be of interest to them.
I think it has always been a pretty popular topic at IRETS. Are you the one who's presented at IRETS? Yes?
That's me. I presented it at IRETS, yes.
I'm guessing you had good turnouts at yours.
Yeah, we had 6 sessions. They were, we'd like to see a lot more people there, but you know, not everybody has that desire or needs.
You must have been competing against some other highly regarded sessions. That's the only reason I can think of that people wouldn't have come.
Right, yeah.
I would have been in your session, Chris.
So that's a vote of confidence, I would say, Chris.
Chris, if you do that again at IRETS, no matter where it's at, if I'm there, I'll be there.
I appreciate that. Well, one of the things I'd love to do is put it out on such a forum as this, just to get generalized feedback and get more people interested, because most of us don't ever think about it until we get that one deaf student and we're like, what do we do? And what I did at the presentation was just provide you know, a toolbox of resources. Don't have to use them, but here are some things that we may not think about otherwise, just in case.
I think we just found our next presenter or the next couple of presenters, right? Because I really would love to do that. I would love to see that. So please put your name in the hat to do a Tribe Talk.
Yeah, I think you've been volunteered.
Yeah, no problem. I'd love to do it.
It's always fun. I've had a few classes that I've taught where I've had deaf or hearing impaired people, and they are a joy to work with. And one class, they had an interpreter, and she was there the whole time. And for certain ones, since one of the students had been riding for some time, he had his own hand signals, and he taught her those. And so when I would read it, she knew what they would understand, which was great. And I took the time to learn a few of the signs as well, so that she didn't have to say, and I could just do better or good. So take the time to, if you do experience that, to learn from it. It's a wonderful time still keep in touch with a few of them as well.
Tony's comment about having students mimic the exercise, holding imaginary handlebars, turning with the demo rider, it's given me an idea about those exercises where there is a split group and you've got some students in staging while the others are riding. I think that could be quite an effective way of, okay, look, we're going to watch this rider, let's mimic. And, you know, especially like on pressing to initiate lean, that seems like that could be an effective tool. Any other, what does everyone think about that?
Mike Hahn, I see you have your hand raised. Did you want to share another comment?
Well, going back to our original topic, my question was, we mentioned the exercise 4, the shifting and stopping. I'm trying to think of how, with fewer words, if a student had an issue shifting into second gear, how do I do that with actions rather than words? And then, Chris, I would love to chat with you more about what we can do differently to handle interpreters on the range, because you see both perspectives, and we have a fair number of hearing impaired students that come through our courses in Rochester, like Ron said.
Yeah, Rochester is a hotbed of deaf and hard of hearing folks, so definitely I'm sure you see a lot. I'll post my email address for the group, and if anyone has any questions or concerns, please feel free to reach out to me.
I know a really good place we use nonverbal, hopefully I believe all of us do, but if we're moving students from, say, one point to another, it's so easy, kind of, I don't know if I could do this, but kind of like, you know, and they just, instead of being like, okay, what you're going to do is you're going to go over there, and then you're going to do this, then you're going to, by the time you do all that, you get them kind of going the wrong way. So if you could just be like, you here.
I've been known to dance on the range, but if I keep them laughing and keep it fun for them, they actually do get to the point where if I do that, or I go, which is more fun for them?
Well, I got laughed at today because we were doing multiple curves, and I kind of do, you know, the speed up, but then I'm like kind of almost diving down to the ground because I'm like really slow, you know?
Okay, can everybody hear me now?
You sound good now.
Okay. Had to get rid of the mug. Hopefully this will help a little bit. Can anybody remember a question back from May that was asked about studies that the movement information is retained in the memory in what form?
Don, you were breaking up a little bit at the beginning of that statement.
Otherwise, I would know the answer.
And it would be?
Visually.
Anybody else?
As an image?
Yes. And that's exactly what Lynn said a little bit earlier. Thank you, Nicole. So the image is the most ancient way that we are capable of remembering stuff. And I'd like to throw a little plug quick here to Miss Sarah Baranek, because she's working on a future tribe talk that will kind of give us some insight in that and kind of connect this and other things that we've talked about. So, I'll give her that little plug right now. Carol, is Bob around?
I'll go get him.
All right. And so while we're waiting on Carol to bring Bob in, I'm just going to go ahead and throw up tonight's poll. It is being launched now. Tribe Talk poll for 31 May 2020. For those of you who have capable machines, 2 questions. A little bit more reading tonight as we get more topics.
Got awfully quiet there.
Everybody's concentrating on the quiz. Nice to see you, Bob.
Okay, Dan told me his computer just locked up again.
Okay, so Rita's taking over now, huh?
You should be able to see the results.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, good. I don't know what the right answers are.
Well, we can take it. Let's take a vote. I don't know.
So hopefully, hopefully Don eventually can get back on and share with us what the answers are. Although I don't think he has shared the answers with us in the past, so maybe he wouldn't anyway.
Not very often, no.
So, all right. Is Bob available now, Carol? Didn't see.
I was going to say he is there, Rita. I can
He
see
is
him.
right here.
Yeah, he's
Awesome.
there.
Howdy.
Share with
Bob.
Hello. Go ahead, Rita.
Go ahead. You can share with us, give us a teaser for what we're going to learn next week.
All right. This is a talk I gave. For those of you who don't know, I'm a flight instructor, the other instructing in the family. And I'm also chairman of the National Association of Flight Instructors. And I gave a talk 3 years ago at an event called Sun and Fun. Those of you in Florida may know it. It's the big air show in Lakeland, Florida. And the talk was about professionalism. And the challenge for you, and I'll tell you right now, you're going to help me write a PowerPoint. Because when I gave that talk, I had 3 slides to fill 45 minutes. Doesn't work. So the title of the talk, or the subtitle, is Professionalism. You can't just say, I know it when I see it. So what I'd like, you can't, it doesn't work. So what I'd like all of you to do for next week is to think during the week about what elements go into being a professional. And that's your tease, and that's your homework assignment. And you're going to help me rewrite the PowerPoint. And the really neat thing is, the instructors were at that talk last time. The instructors and pilots were at that talk the last time I did this. Gave me a pretty good PowerPoint. So I've got that in my back pocket, but I'm not going to show that to you. Fair enough? Okay.
Good.
Great. Thanks, Bob. Now, I'm not sure if anyone, I don't even know what is on the agenda for next week. Oh, Don's back. Well, Don was sort of on, I think. I don't know what happened. Are you on, Don? Yes.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yay, yes.
All right, let's see how long this lasts. Thank you, Altis. So Bob will be presenting next week, this presentation. And that's it for next week. Unfortunately, just so everybody knows, or fortunately, I won't be here. Rita will be running the show. Round of applause. I have some personal things I have to take care of. So you already got the preview with Bob, and you have the homework for how to prepare for next week. My question is, did the poll work or did it just die with me?
As far as I knew, it worked and everyone could see the results.
We're
Okay,
eager to know the answers.
Oh,
You have the answers?
I do have the answers. What did everybody select as the best answers?
Tell us what it is there, Don.
So a brain-based tenet is that meaningful learning requires multiple, complex, and concrete experiences. How many people selected that?
40% selected that.
Okay. And then the next one was, which of the following is true regarding the brain-based learning? And it's the brain is a parallel processor.
28% selected that one. The highest vote getter on that one was behaviorism is an appropriate model of how.
Okay, so the brain is a parallel processor, and believe it or not, I gave a hint on that on Wednesday night. I think Josh was talking about trying to watch 2 tribe talks and respond to them at the same time, and I said, the brain, a parallel processor. So if you weren't on here Wednesday, you missed the hint.
I got in so much trouble on the other one because I thought I was muted on that one and talking on this one. It was a mess. It was a mess.
Okay, so awesome. Anything anybody else wants to talk about tonight? Because we're right on time, and I really like that despite my problems, and I apologize for that. Welcome to New York once again.
Quick question for me.
Yes, sir.
We display the PowerPoints locally here. We don't have to send them to somebody.
Correct.
You can display it there. If you want somebody else to look at it in advance, you can send it to me or Rita.
No. I just want to know the mechanics. Okay, so all right.
Don Green, based on your previous experience, is it a good idea for him to send me the slides just in case he can't get them displayed so I can display them, or have you not had that issue?
I have not had that issue, but I've always done it as a backup. So
yeah, I'll do that.
And let me throw it out there that, you know, any one of you that are in this meeting tonight could be put in this position in the future. In fact, one of the major tenets that we talked about when we started coming up with Tribe Talk, the initial group, was that anybody who presents gives 2 names of people they think should present in the future. So I want you to think about that. If you want to present, you know, get a hold of somebody and let us know about a good topic that you want to share. The other part of that is this should be a self-guiding group, meaning that we're not relying upon any one of us to keep it going, because that's what the tribe is about. The leader gets taken out, or if somebody important gets kicked off, you know, we're able to continue without us. So some things to think about as we try to grow the tribe and the future. Can I get a round of applause for Christopher and his tonight?
Awesome. Nice, Rita. That's the first time I've seen a round of applause.
Or you could have just gone like this.
Yeah.
And see what the response was.
Yeah, for Christopher and Sarah in Illinois, I think that was all worth the time and effort, because as I've said before, I've taught hearing impaired classes before, and that refreshed my memory and what needs to be done. Thank you.
And with that, we have a future Tribe Talk session host, Chris Perry. Thanks for stepping up in public. I like that. Look forward to it. And then just want to tell everybody thanks for showing up tonight. And happy hour on Wednesday, 7 p.m. and Sunday, the 7th of June at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's all I have, unless you want to hang out. That's all right, too. Thanks a lot.
Dinner's ready. Thank you.
Thank you.
I already had dinner.